they will do it.
Well, we heard the first set of guests talk about the fact that, look, when prices of food, when it's really high, that it's an advantage.
Yeah.
You will encourage a lot of people to come into agriculture because they know, okay, I'm going to make money out of this. Is that not enough an incentive, Mr. Are?
Yes and no. I have to agree with it. Nobody is going to continue farming the way our fathers and our grandfathers did it. It's just not an effective way to farm. And it's not an incentive because that's a lot of work for very little turnover. In addition, there are very many unmitigating circumstances, as you all know. There are several types of environmental factors, climatic factors like drought that can wipe out your crop. There's so many types of diseases. So just because you have a successful year this year does not guarantee that you'll have a successful year next year. So the reality of it is things have to change. Yes, people should get into farming, but the way we farm has to change it.
What are those things that you would like to see changed? When we talk about making the environment conducive for the youth to come on board, what are the things that you want to see change?
If you talk about in the area of animal husbandry, we have to, and I don't want to get into anything political with Fulani herdsmen, but we do have to create an enabling environment where we have grazing pastures in this country, where people can either purchase or lease areas that they can actually build ranches to get better quality of meat from better quality of cattle raised, and also can also improve their communities so that they can have schools, education for their children, and not just live a nomadic life. That's a cultural thing. That has to change, and that is already beginning to change in several parts of the North. Believe this. This was on the program the other day where they showed the benefits of ranch-style cattle farming. Then we have to talk about yield in, when you talk about cattle and milk production. Milk production in this country is very poor. I think it's about 1/50th of what is expected of cattle milk production in the industrial world. Well, that goes back to we haven't used the right type of cattle, and it goes back to just, let me just use any generic, whether it's a Sokoto Indama or Red Bororo, whatever, to do your milk production. So you're not using the scientific method, you're just using what your father told you. And if it worked, great. But you could actually be producing more for every cow that you have if you had the right cow. Now let's get into crops. We've talked about variety. If you're using the wrong variety for the type of soil that you have, your yield can never meet the international standards of production. And even if it does, as you know, in the industrial world, you have grades for, in the US, if you are talking about beef, you have USDA grade A, grade B, grade C. They're different grades. They have different price points per pound. But when you get to crops, it's the same thing. And if you're using a substandard seed that doesn't only produce insufficient quantity, the secondary problem is you will have insufficient quality. So we have both problems. So it's one thing to say you yielded what you were supposed to, but at the wrong quality, or you didn't yield what you were supposed to at the wrong quantity. So it's a double-edged sword. So those are the kind of things that actually have to change. And the only way that can change is consistency in the type of seed and original product that you're using for the crops, and consistency in the application of herbicide, fertilizer, and all the other things that go into that.
You have this knowledge, you have obviously put in a lot of thought into this. One wonders, the average youth of today, how willing do you think they would be to be as patient, to put in the kind of mental, to use the kind of mental muscle required to get the kind of yield one would get, and to make the kind of money they may get down the line?
It's education, and that's why I said.
But then in terms of the willingness to do so, do you see that?
I see that with some of the kids. In fact, in some of the programs we've watched, I was looking at a study on a program with a company called Vicampro. Vicampro is in Jos. They're farming a little over 55,000 hectares. Modern technology, Matter of fact, to see the whole area that they're farming, you would have to use the helicopter to fly. Irrigated lands. They've employed several youths from several villages, and I was very impressed by the willingness, the desire of these young people that were from families that only probably did subsistence farming. And I was impressed at the number, the sheer number of these youth that were joining this company. They've employed over 400 in that area.
Okay.
And there are quite a few youths. Even in Kebbi, I've seen how many youths are into the rice production. Adedamola Are, even in Borno, there are quite a few.
Okay.
It's underestimated.
Mr. Okay, in your, from your experience, the youth now, he has talked about, a company up north, for you, down south here, what's the acceptance level like for farming?
Like he said, I've seen youths too, even here, embracing agriculture. If you go to Okiogun, Ibarakwa side, you see youths. I have friends that we left school together that are involved in agriculture actively, not even passively, very actively. That's what they do. But it boils down to the fact that even if they are willing to embrace it, will they be encouraged down the line long enough? I've seen people that actually did a year and they've backed out. That is expected. Some people are still holding on that, well, it will work and things like that. But it's not like there's no limited number of youths that are willing to embrace agriculture. There are quite a number of them. They are bound. Yeah, some of them may not show up now. There are even people in full-time job now that will tell me that, I want to farm. For some, it may be a desire. For some, it's a passion, actually. So it's not like they are not there. But a lot of them need that little extra that we push them to make that decision that, okay, let me do it.
For you must have been in business for a while. Is it that you didn't face challenges, or what's birthed the resilience to keep trying and keep staying in business despite challenges?
Wow. It's not like you don't face challenges. I know when you say you don't face challenge, if you ask my colleague here, he will just laugh. The challenges are enormous, and you face them continually, daily. And for me, as for some other people I've met, it's a passion. If the passion is not there, that's why at times when government says go to agriculture, for some people, they've just painted that big picture that there's so much money to be made, so let's jump into it. Those ones will quickly jump out. So it's a passion. A passion has to be developed for it. It's not about the money to be made. Yeah, there's money to be made, but how about seeing lives transformed? How about seeing changes? How about seeing that growth that you are seeing, that, yeah, this is where I was last year, this is where I am now. Those are the kind of things that may actually push people. So I believe government should do it more than the fact that there's money to be made. Some people have money already. They are just looking for where to pump it. Some people, where they are comfortable. But if people see it as a way that I too can affect where I am, people will embrace it. But when you throw the money issue, if someone goes in there the first year and he doesn't make the money, you feel these guys are lying. I'm out of here. So it should be a passion. People should. We should not just push it to them that, oh, there's money to be made in agric now. Yeah, at times the crop is made. There was a year I actually had a large yield and the market was not good. So I still did not break even. The harvest was good, everything was okay. But so if the government encourages people and puts things in place to make them take it up as a way of life, it's more than just making money.
How about exports? You talked about the year you had bumper harvest, as it were, but there was no market. So what about exporting some of these products? What about that?
Well, the possibility of export is there. But we must also understand that for a normal average farmer to go into export here, it's a very big challenge. The paperwork is tedious, the effort is tedious, and at the end of the day, it's not guaranteed. And it boils down to what he said the other time. There is the issue of standards. These places where you are exporting it to, it's not like horse that will just take anything. They want to be sure of what you are bringing. And a lot of times what they will expect of you are things that you may not be able to deliver here. They want to know actually what happened in every stage of the production. What inputs were there? What chemicals did you use? In what quantity? And these are the kind of things that we actually don't reckon with here. Just have a good yield, that's all. But then they will insist that what went through. So for a lot of farmers, going through that particular process is very tedious. So they rather look for the local market and do things, or give it to someone else who will process and give it for export. So the opportunity of export, I believe our government can still do more to make it less tedious, so that people can actually have that as an option. For now, for a lot of farmers, that's not an option.
We noted earlier on that it's really ironic that we are talking about famine, the threat of famine, and hunger in the land, food sufficiency in a country as blessed as we are. Back to you, Mr. Are. What would you like to see happen such that, down the line? I mean, I guess for a lot of people, the threat of hunger also is a big issue. So we are talking about maybe in the shortest possible time now, if you're going to give your response to this, what would you say we do have to do, and as soon as possible, to address the present hunger that we see all around us?
Thank you very much. This thing has to be broken down into stages, and since you said the short-term remedy, at least 45 to 50% of the food that's currently produced in this country does not make it to the market. So if you want a short-term remedy, the easiest and the quickest would be to build sufficient roads to wherever food is produced in this country.
It's not that there is no food.
No, that's what I'm saying. Short term, it's not that there's not food. Now, it will run out as the population increases, but right now, of the food produced post-harvest, more than 45% never makes it to the market. So you would have to have, A, the right storage mechanisms, silos. Silos would have to be built in several parts of this country so that people can store grain, so that they can store tomato, and in the adequate storage condition. 2, you would have to have roads that allow those people to get the products to the market based on the lifespan of the current variety of vegetables and fruits that we have. Because
so perishables faster.
Faster. And if the road was there, those things would get to the market. They got to the market, they would turn. If they turned, you'd sell more, price will come down, you have an oversupply. So you take care of the current needs of our population right now, just by doing that alone. That's not a long-term solution, but that's a solution I foresee could last for about the next 4 to 5 years, if that was done. But you will still have to have a long-term solution, which we've addressed earlier.
Okay, thank you so much for talking to us. It was nice having you both in the studio to talk to us about food sufficiency and the threat of famine. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Adedamola Are, who is a farmer and agricultural entrepreneur, and as well the GM, Lake Are Farms here in Ibadan.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And also a very big thank you to Mr. Oladipo Oke, who is a farmer and agricultural entrepreneur as well, the CEO of Oladipo Farms in Yerowa. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, so this special is going on a break, but you know that we are not done yet. We still have sports coming up, and Toyeshe will bring that to us fresh and hot. Stay tuned.
Yes, that's our package on Saturday Special, and I think that we'll be doing well as we wrap up to let people know that, yes, the rains are upon us. For those who have this little spark or interest in farming, this would be a good time to begin to do 1 or 2 little things. I don't know,
You
Tosin,
might
maybe you have
also
a
want to-
garden behind your house.
Okay, I was
Do
just
you have
going to
that?
say that you might be interested in getting some plots of land or even acres.
Okay,
to
so
start your
she's
own
actually
farming.
thinking
So-
big, and I think that's a good thing.
Oh,
A lot of people
yes.
should.
We just have to go back to the farm because we have no choice. We need food. And personally, I like food. So I have to go back to the farm.
Now that is obvious. But then thank you so very much for being a part of Saturday's Special. Yet we'll be back here again with you in just a week. And of course, you do know that we're going to be talking about something that will be very much something you would enjoy and want to listen to. But then we do ask that you have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. I would say maybe we'll say they have a flourishing,
yes, flourishing, yes, prosperous, and we
fruitful
hope,
one.
yes, fruitful, yes, and we hope that we'll have some heavy showers again before the weekend is over, and maybe during the course of the week. But until the next time we'll come your way, we ask that you do the right thing, enjoy yourself, and make the most of every opportunity, particularly the raining season. Have fun.